Wellness Rhythm Show. Find your rhythm. Live your wellness.
Y'all, let me tell you something embarrassing. Last Tuesday, I ate leftover birthday cake at 10:47 p.m., standing over the kitchen sink in the dark like a raccoon. And I thought, this cannot be good for me. But then I wondered, is it actually the cake, or is it the timing?
And that is genuinely one of the more interesting questions in metabolic research right now. Because it turns out, when you eat may matter just as much as what you eat, possibly more in certain contexts.
Which honestly blew my mind when I started digging into this. We always talk about calories, food quality, macros, but the clock? Nobody warned me the clock was part of the equation.
Right, so today we are getting into fasting windows, meal timing, and something called circadian-aligned eating. It sounds technical, but the practical payoff is genuinely accessible. Stick with us.
Okay, let's start at the beginning because I threw around the phrase circadian-aligned eating, and some people are probably like, wait, what? So let's define it.
Right, here's what I've learned. Your body runs on a roughly 24-hour internal clock, your circadian rhythm. Most people know it affects sleep. What's less known is that nearly every organ, your liver, your pancreas, your gut, has its own clock. And those clocks are synced to light and food.
So when I eat that cake at 11 p.m., my pancreas is basically asleep?
Not quite asleep, but working against its own rhythm, yes. Research from the Salk Institute, particularly work by Dr. Sachin Panda, shows that our metabolic processes, insulin sensitivity, fat burning, digestion efficiency, all follow a time-of-day pattern.
And Dr. Panda is kind of the name in this space, right? He coined the term time-restricted eating, which is slightly different from traditional fasting.
Exactly. Time-restricted eating, or TRE, means you're not necessarily changing what you eat, just compressing when you eat into a consistent daily window, typically somewhere between 8 and 12 hours.
Here's the thing, though. When I first heard fasting window, I pictured miserable hunger and coffee that tastes like sadness. But TRE isn't really that dramatic, is it?
For most people, no. If you eat dinner by 7 p.m. and breakfast at 7 a.m., congratulations, you've done a 12-hour fast. The question is whether tightening that window and aligning it earlier in the day adds meaningful benefit.
And the research says it does. Let's get into the science here, because this is where it gets genuinely interesting.
Right, let's dig into that. A 2019 randomized controlled trial published in Cell Metabolism, led by Dr. Krista Varadi at the University of Illinois, found that participants eating within a consistent 8-hour window, without counting calories, lost meaningful body weight and saw improvements in blood pressure and insulin resistance.
And they weren't starving themselves, they just had a boundary.
Precisely. And then there's the circadian angle, which layers on top of that. Dr. Panda's human studies suggest that eating earlier in the day, when insulin sensitivity is naturally higher, produces better metabolic outcomes than the same calorie intake eaten later.
Okay, so here's where I have to push back a little because I am not a morning person. The idea of front-loading all my eating before like 2 p.m. sounds like a punishment.
That's a fair and important point. And honestly, the research shows a meaningful benefit even without that extreme. The key finding from Panda's 2015 study in Cell Metabolism was consistency of the window, not necessarily making it perfectly early.
So I don't have to eat breakfast at dawn like a farmer?
You don't have to eat breakfast at dawn like a farmer, though aligning eating with daylight hours does appear to support metabolic flexibility more than late-night eating.
Okay, let's talk about metabolic flexibility because that phrase is everywhere right now, and I want to make sure we're defining it properly.
Good call. Metabolic flexibility is your body's ability to switch fuel sources, burning carbohydrates when available and fat when carbs are not. A metabolically inflexible person essentially stays in carb-burning mode constantly, which is associated with insulin resistance, weight gain, and energy crashes.
And fasting windows help rebuild that flexibility?
That's the current evidence, yes. A 2022 review in the Annual Review of Nutrition summarized multiple studies showing that TRE improves markers of metabolic flexibility, particularly in people who are overweight or have early signs of metabolic dysfunction.
Y'all, this matters for our audience in particular. Because if you're in your 40s, 50s, or beyond, metabolic flexibility naturally declines. It's not a moral failing, it's biology.
Brilliant point. And that's also why this is relevant to the sandwich generation, the people managing careers, kids, maybe aging parents. Sleep disruption, stress eating, late dinners, these all compress circadian alignment and compound over time.
Okay, so before we talk practical tips, and we will get practical, can we just quickly address the skeptic in the room? Because someone right now is thinking, isn't this just another diet trend?
Reasonable skepticism. Here's the nuance. TRE is not a magic solution, and the research is still evolving. A 2022 treat trial published in the New England Journal of Medicine found that 16-8 time-restricted eating did not produce significantly greater weight loss than unrestricted eating in a controlled study.
Wait, so it doesn't work?
It's more complicated than that. The treat trial enrolled participants who were already in a calorie deficit. For people eating in a deficit anyway, the timing window added little. But for people not tracking calories, the window itself appears to naturally reduce intake and improve metabolic markers.
So it's a powerful structure, not a guaranteed outcome on its own.
Exactly right. It's a framework, not a magic spell, and that distinction matters.
Okay, real talk. Here's how I actually make this work in my life, because I have a 7-year-old and a full-time job and nobody is asking me what time I want to eat.
Please tell me.
I gave myself an eating window of 8 a.m. to 7 p.m. That's an 11-hour window. Not extreme, not punishing, and I stopped the late-night kitchen raids, which is mostly where I was bleeding calories I didn't even want.
And that is actually quite consistent with the practical guidance from the American Heart Association's 2022 scientific statement on meal timing, which suggested that even modest early eating shifts and consistent windows support cardiovascular and metabolic health.
And if you're a pre-retiree or an empty nester with more schedule flexibility, you might actually find it easier to experiment with a tighter window or earlier meals than someone chasing kids around.
That's a genuinely underappreciated advantage of that life stage, schedule sovereignty. You can actually structure meals around your biology rather than the school run.
I dream of schedule sovereignty. While you're here dreaming with me, do us a favor, hit that like and subscribe button. It genuinely helps us reach more people who could use a practical, evidence-based friend in their ear.
We appreciate it more than we let on. Speaking for myself, quite a lot actually.
Okay, so let's land this plane. What are the actual steps someone can take this week?
Right, here's what I've learned works as a starting point. Number 1, identify your current eating window. Just notice it. Most people are surprised how wide it is, often 14 to 16 hours.
And no judgment. I was shocked when I tracked mine.
Number 2, try narrowing it by an hour on each end for 1 week. No food changes required yet. Just move breakfast 30 minutes later and stop eating 30 minutes earlier.
And number 3, try to be consistent. Same window on weekdays and weekends. The research consistently shows that social jet lag, where your weekend eating pattern shifts dramatically, undermines the circadian benefit.
That's the one people resist the most. Saturday night dinners, holiday gatherings.
Here's the thing though, you don't have to be perfect. You're building a rhythm, not following a religion.
Right, so if I had to distill today into one takeaway, it would be this. Consistency of your eating window, even a modest one, appears to support metabolic health in ways that go beyond just calories. The when genuinely matters, supported by solid and growing evidence.
And for me, the biggest shift was realizing the kitchen closes at 7 p.m. Not because some guru said so, but because my liver was basically filing a formal complaint. Y'all, your body has a schedule. Working with it, instead of against it, is one of the most practical and honestly low-cost changes you can make.
Low cost, low drama. 2 of my favorite qualities in a wellness strategy.
As always, we are not your doctors, we are your informed friends. Talk to a healthcare professional before making significant changes, especially if you have any existing health conditions. But know that this conversation is grounded in real science, real life, and the sincere hope that you feel a little better this week than you did last week.
That's the goal. Realistic, but genuinely optimistic. Good luck with your windows, everyone.
And stay out of the kitchen after 7. I'm talking to myself as much as anyone. Thanks for listening to the Wellness Rhythm Show, y'all. This show is part of the VoxCrea.AI system. If you want a show like this for your organization without building it yourself,
go to VoxCrea.AI and request a sample episode.